you're from the volunteer state.
I am, yes.
And you came up north, that's why I said welcome home. But we talked before we got started, we talked offline about the growth that Tennessee has seen and the lack of growth in Kentucky. I know it, I preach that every day, but I was compelled when you shared that as a 20-year-old college student, you're already seeing that.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Speak to that a little bit.
So where I'm from, I think we've had a really, really good business climate for probably the last at least 10 years. We've had a Republican state legislature for probably 20 years, and we've had two pretty good governors that are very welcoming to business. I mean, my hometown, Smith & Wesson moved from Connecticut and built their new headquarters in my hometown.
Yeah, that's kind of the announcements we want to see, right? Is, gun companies that are moving from the Northeast down to Kentucky, Tennessee, and it's something that I get really passionate about. I'm a big believer that, like President Reagan said, the greatest social welfare program in the world is a job. And we need more career-worthy job opportunities, more hope and opportunity in Kentucky. Candidly, like Tennessee, we use Kentucky wins because we're a sports-crazed state, and I know, volunteers are too, but I'm sick of getting beat by Tennessee in the things that we measure in life outside of sports. And I think we've got to get more competitive, and it's never been more critical that we do that.
And I know the state of Kentucky, I have two things about taxes. So I saw one that the state of Kentucky has a state income tax, and that your goal is to completely get rid of it.
Yeah, that's right.
So do you have is it going to be day one, if it comes across my desk, I'm signing it? Or is it going to be, you're going to try to work a plan?
Yeah, I love that question. The legislature has passed a bill that allows that income tax to be lowered 0.5% at a time. There's certain triggers. I support that. I just wish it was faster, right? And so if we could work with them to speed that up, I absolutely would sign it. I think there is a positive approach of getting it to zero as fast as possible that I think will then trigger explosive growth in a good way. But anything we can do to speed it up, I'd support. And if they're ready to do that with me, then yeah, absolutely, we'd sign it.
Well, one thing on that I was going to say, my dad actually moved from the state of Michigan to Tennessee. And one of the crucial factors was he looked at Tennessee's income tax, and he said there was no income tax. And I said there was no income tax.
If you look at the states that are growing, Tennessee, Texas, Florida, they either have no or little state income tax. And some want to say, well, that alone won't spur growth. Well, the proof's in the pudding. And I'm a big believer in allowing people to keep more of what they earn, and then you tax them on how they choose to spend it. And you don't tax performance or effort, you tax consumption. And
exactly.
We've seen, I think it's a more fair way. You have more people paying into the system that way. And it also does spur growth in a way that we haven't seen in Kentucky in, candidly, 100 years.